What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Sports Lovers, where we talk all things sports. This is going to be Wednesday's pre-recorded video for you guys. We're going to talk about every NFL team's needs before the NFL draft, which is coming tomorrow, by the way. Round number one, pick number one. Panthers have the first pick in the draft. My Carolina Panthers. Let's freaking get it. But we're going to talk about every NFL team's needs before the draft. So if you guys are new to the channel, be sure to drop a like and subscribe so you guys don't miss out on any of the latest videos and the basketball tournament that we're doing later this summer, which will be announced later in a video coming to you probably next week or sometime the week after that as well. Alright, so the first team on the list, the Arizona Cardinals. They just need to get freaking better defense or some weapons. They can literally have anything. They have a terrible coach right now. They can literally have anything and it would be better than what they have right now. Therefore, all they need is an offensive weapons or some defense. That's really all they could really want out of this 2023 draft. Moving on, though, you got the Baltimore Ravens, and they need to freaking sign Lamar Jackson. I don't know what the frick is going on with Lamar Jackson right now, but they do need to sign Lamar so that he can get paid and he can play for the Ravens going forward with OBJ. That's what they need to do. They don't really need to draft anybody. They just need to sign Lamar Jackson. Moving on to the Atlanta Falcons, they need some defensive help. They need some defense help on the defensive side of the ball, and they need some more weapons offensively. I think that's really what the Falcons could really use. Moving on, though, the Bills, they really honestly don't need anything. They could use a better running back, or they could use some defensive help, but other than that, they really don't need anything headed into the NFL draft. They really, all they need is a running back, somebody like Deuce Vaughn. That would be a really good pickup for the Bills, I believe. They could pick them up in the draft, and I think that would be perfectly fine. Moving on, the Carolina Panthers. We need to get this pick right with Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. I think either of the two are perfectly fine at this point. I'm not even going to say anything about Bryce Young, which I get he's short, but he can make plays. He can get really, really good things out of nothing, and he can turn the ball into scoring possessions, which is what we need. So either get Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. Don't get freaking Anthony Richardson or Will Levis, the guy who eats banana pills, but we'll talk about that later. Moving on, the Cincinnati Bengals, they need some help on the defensive side of the ball. They lost a lot of their players on the defensive side of the ball this year, Von Bell being one of them, I believe, to the Panthers. So they need some help on the defensive side of the ball. Moving on to the Chicago Bears, they need DJ Moore to be that guy, but they also need to get Justin Fields more weapons from the draft. Maybe draft that wide receiver out of Tennessee or somebody like that, but they need to get Justin Fields some more weapons as well, and they need DJ Moore to step it up. Moving on, you got the Cleveland Browns. They're in rebuild mode right there. They really just need the fans to like Deshaun Watson. That's all that they can do. If they like Deshaun Watson, then Deshaun will power through for them as well. They got Nick Chubb. They got some really good wide receivers like Jarvis Landry, I believe. So they should be really, really good offensively if the fans can rally behind Deshaun Watson and choose him to be their starting quarterback going forward. Moving on, you got the Dallas Cowboys. What we need to do is not blow it in the playoffs every single year. But other than that, I think we got a really, really good squad. We need some more offensive linemen. And no, Ezekiel Elliott cannot play the offensive line, the center position. We need to draft an actual center is what we need to draft. You hear that, Dallas? That's what we need to draft. Moving on, you got the Denver Broncos, and they got what they needed. They need a coach who can actually tell the time. But in all seriousness, I think that they need some more help on the defensive side of the ball if they want to compete in the AFC West. Moving on, you got the Detroit Lions. They need one more playmaker to go along with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamal Williams. Now, obviously, Jamal Williams was suspended for 6 games, so they really, really need that second player to go alongside of Jamal Williams and stuff like that. They need a second weapon on the offensive side of the ball. Their defense looks absolutely fantastic. Jared Goff looks great, and I believe they could use a running back too, but regardless, they need another playmaker to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Moving on, the Houston Texans, they need to get the pick right between Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, or Will Levis as well. One of those 4 quarterbacks will be taken off the board number 1 by us. So they just need to get their quarterback room together so they can build around that going forward. And later in the draft, they can use some of their picks to get wide receivers or something out of that nature. Moving on, the Green Bay Packers just need to fucking get rid of Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to beep that out, by the way. They need to get get rid of Aaron Rodgers so Jordan Love can start and Jordan Love can get the mantle and hopefully prevail past Aaron Rodgers in the freaking Green Bay Packers system. Moving on to the Indianapolis Colts, they need to get it together with everything. They just need to get everything going. They need to hire a new head coach as well. They need some better organization management. Moving on to the Rams. Obviously, the Rams bought that entire Super Bowl, so they don't have a lot of picks to go off of. I don't even think they have a first-round pick, do they or do they not? But they need to get some more weapons for Matthew Stafford or get a better quarterback than Matthew Stafford out of this draft. Moving on, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they need to get some help on the defensive side of the ball and establish another really, really good wide receiver is what I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars need to do in order to be a contender in the AFC South, which obviously isn't that hard. You guys saw it this year. Moving on, though, you got the Minnesota Vikings. What they need to do is get a defense. The Minnesota Vikings do need to get a defense right there. They almost blew that lead against the Colts, but they didn't. That's why they need to get a defense right. Or, no, they didn't. They do need to get a defense, though. Moving on to the Kansas City Chiefs, they just need to stop getting picks. I mean, I don't think they should be allowed to get picks until Patrick Mahomes retires because they will just keep leveling up and leveling up and leveling up. They even lost Tyreek Hill, but they gained a lot of really, really good talent, which is kind of funny. But that's what the Chiefs need to do is just stop getting picks altogether. Moving on, the Saints. The Saints need to add another player to go alongside of Chris Olave and Michael Thomas. They need another wide receiver. I don't see anything else that they really need. They got Derek Carr, so if they get Derek Carr some help, then they will be perfectly fine. Moving on to the Raiders. The Raiders need to get a quarterback who is better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Moving on to the New York Giants. The New York Giants need to sign Saquon Barkley. I know his franchise tag declined. He declined the franchise tag, so they just need to give him a contract and go on out the window with that. Moving on, you got the Los Angeles Chargers. They need to fire their coach. That's what they need to do right there before the NFL draft. They need to fire their coach so they can actually win a playoff game and not blow a 28-point lead going into the half. Moving on to the Philadelphia Eagles, they don't need anything. They're actually really, really solid. Maybe they could use a running back, though, to replace Miles Sanders, but they do have that backup running back who is also really, really good. They really don't need anything over there in Philadelphia. Moving on to the Miami Dolphins, they just need Tua not to get hurt before the start of the NFL draft. That's what they really need to do. They just need to not have Tua get hurt before the draft. Moving on, the San Francisco 49ers, they need to know who their starting quarterback is going to be so they can build around that as well with all their other really, really elite players. Is it going to be Brock Purdy or is it going to be Trey Lance? And they could trade Trey Lance for a first-round pick if they really want to finesse somebody like that. Moving on, the New England Patriots, they just need to get rid of Mac Jones and get another first-round pick so they can get a quarterback out of this draft. I think that's a smart way to go for the New England Patriots right there. Moving on, you got 6 more teams. The Seattle Seahawks need to get more help defensively, and they need to get Geno Smith another weapon other than Tyler Lockett. Moving on, the New York Jets, they need to sign freaking Aaron Rodgers. That's what they need to do. Just go ahead and get the deal done. I don't really know why it's not done already, but they need to sign Aaron Rodgers before the draft so they can get Aaron Rodgers some help after the draft, or during the draft, rather. Moving on, maybe it would be better than what he had in Green Bay. Moving on, the Buccaneers, they need to honestly just hope Tom Brady comes out of retirement because they're not really going to have a quarterback or anything of that nature. They got freaking Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask to go off of, which I hope Kyle Trask performs really, really well. Moving on, you got the Pittsburgh Steelers. They need to get Kenny Pickett some weapons offensively, and they need to get an entire new defense. That's really what the Pittsburgh... Well, their defense actually isn't that bad. They just need to get Kenny Pickett some weapons heading into the draft. Moving on, you got the Washington Commanders. Commanders just are... I think they did what they did before the draft. They sold their organization to somebody else who is not going to do what Dan Snyder did. And the final one, the Tennessee Titans, they need to get... They're just in complete rebuild mode right there. They're another NFL team that's in rebuild mode. They have Malik Willis. They need to center it around Malik Willis and get him some protection offensively as well. Obviously, they lost center Ben Jones to that. But that is every NFL team's need before the 2023 NFL Draft. Let me know what you thought of the video in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you guys don't miss out on any of our latest videos, and so you guys don't miss the announcement about the basketball tournament that is being filmed this summer and is also going to be huge. We're at 30 people right now, I think, or somewhere in that range. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be so much fun. Summer, we're upping content. Let's get it. But that is going to be all for today's video. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.